Velasco. And thank you for reading.
Manny Pacquiao, Nicole, I don't think there'll be a problem for Manny.
Has its share of great fights. But every once in a while, human mind can also be controlled and muscle. Again, happens to nothing.
Ako po si Atty. PM, only here on Para sa Bayan.
And that's the opening bell for Round by Round presented by Eastern Communications. Mabuhay Pilipinas, welcome world. I'm Nisi Casiano.
And I'm Attorney Ed Tolentino. Our good friend Bill Velasco will be joining us later.
Over the weekend, Tyson Fury prevailed over Deontay Wilder in their trilogy fight to retain the WBC and the Ring Magazine heavyweight titles. Fury got the victory in the 11th round by way of knockout. Attorney Ed, rematch, rubber match, trilogy, or whatever you want to call it, is a double-edged sword. Alam natin yan. Kasi meron siyang familiarity element tied into it. And as we all know, familiarity breeds contempt. But can you say that, you know, it was a competitive fight, but can you say that it still worked into the favor of Tyson Fury coming into this third fight?
Well, alam mo, Nisi, sa totoo lang, everybody was not really that much into this third fight. Because Tyson Fury actually dominated the last fight. Masyadong toro yung kanyang domination in the second fight. Many thought, mabuti pa kung si Fury, labanan na lamang si Anthony Joshua. Itong laban na ito, itong ikatlong laban na ito, this only happened because Wilder's camp legally compelled itong si Fury to honor yung kanilang third fight stipulation sa kanilang kontrata. I have to admit, Fury was the heavy favorite going into this fight. 3-1 favorite. In fact, many thought maigsi lang ang laban na ito eh. Hindi nila nakakala na aabot ng 11 rounds. Itong si Wilder gave a good account of himself. Mas maganda ang kanyang pinakita. Pero lumitaw pa rin yung problema niya in the first and second fight. Yung lack of skills, not much jab to set up his vaunted right hand. Nakita natin yan, He came up big, mabigat yung kanyang timbang, pero Diyos ko, ang laki ni Tyson Fury, 277. And this weight difference, in my opinion, factored into the third match. Kasi ginawa ni Fury, ginawa niyang mauling fight eh. Hindi niya binigyan ng distansya itong si Deontay Wilder kasi ang kalakasan ni Wilder, if he gets some distance to measure you with his slingshot of a right hand. And no opening round, maganda. Medyo jumajab siya ng konti sa tiyan, knowing that medyo malambot si Fury on the breadbasket. But once Fury turned this into a mauling fight, ay nakita natin yung big weight difference. Yung sumandal ka lang, medyo mabigat na eh. So the way I see it, yung overall skill set pa rin ni Tyson Fury ang nanaig sa labang ito. But what a finale. Kung ito na nga ang kanilang huling pagtutuos, man, they threw everything, including the kitchen sink.
Attorney Ed, after the second fight against Fury, Wilder decided to change his trainer from Mark Breland to Malik Scott, who is his former opponent. Now, what were the things? Nabanggit mo na nga kanina yung certain familiarity between the two. What were the things that surprised you on the part of Wilder? Something that you never saw from him in the last two fights?
Well, nung una, medyo ginagamit niya yung kaliwa niya ngayon. Nakita natin may konting left jabs, parang record na nga yung jab na binitawan niya sa buong career niya doon sa first round, Pero nakita natin, even the way he delivers the jab, even Lennox Lewis at ringside was saying, you throw that left jab to the body, dapat iangat mo agad, double left. Instead of making it so predictable by throwing a left to the body and then trying to bring up the right hand na madaling basahin ni Tyson Fury. At nakita pa rin natin, medyo the way he delivers yung left to the body makes him wide open for a counter shot because he stoops down at matagal niyang ibalik sa depensa. So nakita natin, yun ang nakita natin, technically inefficient pa rin even with the change of trainers. Pero nakita rin natin, mas matibay siya ngayon, mas tumagal siya. Pero nakita natin yung conditioning pa rin. hindi niya alam kung paano humawak ng malaking timbang dahil hindi ito ang kanyang natural weight. Itong si Tyson Fury weighed in at around 277 pounds, almost career high, pero he is used to handling the bigger weight. Sanay siya sa ganitong klaseng mabibigat na timbang. Si Wilder hindi. In fact, you go down to the legs. You see the legs? Quite thin.
Ito.
No? So medyo bukang yung upper body ang dinevelop, nakakalimutan yung ilalim. That's where you, if you're a power puncher, alam natin, that's where you draw the power. Diba? Particularly when you plant your feet, you're trying to gain leverage. So ito nakita natin, may konting attempt si Malik Scott. Pero naalala mo yung sabi ni Tyson Fury, nung tinanong siya, do you see any good effect sa pagpalit ng trainer from Mark Breland, a former welterweight champion, to Malik Scott? Sabi ni Tyson Fury, well, you know, Malik Scott is a loser. Sabi niya, he's a loser. When he fought, he's a loser. So, you know, Deontay Wilder just changed his trainer to a loser. They're both losers. Sabi to Tyson Fury. Meron tayong nakitang attempt to change. Pero alam mo yun, Nisi, kapag ikay power puncher, yan ang sakit ng trainer eh. Napakahirap baguhin ng todo ang style.
Yes.
Because the power puncher will always believe, hindi ko kailangan yan, I only need power. Ano? Ito yung sinasabi ko na Ernie Baron strategy, na sinasabi nilang knowledge is power. Ano? Okay yun sa mga trivia, pero sa boxing, yung power dapat may knowledge.
Yes.
Hindi pwedeng power lang. Ano? So nakita natin, the same problems pa rin. Maganda in the early rounds, but in the tail end, he was back to being Wilder. He was swinging for the fence. Ano? He was swinging for the fence and there was no distance to establish his right hand. So iyan ang ginawa ni Fury. He made the necessary adjustments and the improvements kay Wilder were short-lived.
Attorney Ed, people always discredited Wilder for being a one-trick pony. It's always his right hand. He doesn't have the finesse, but the right hand always gets the job done. Remember, it took 41 fighters to solve that style. Despite the improvements doon sa mga nasabi mo, did this fight just prove that you cannot teach an old dog a new trick?
Parang ganyan ang lumalabas, ano? Especially at a time na may edad na si Deontay Wilder. Alam mo, yung mga bata, mas madali yung mga batang boxer, ginugroom mo, ano? Ngayon medyo may edad na si Wilder eh. Alam natin, mahirap ng turuan yan eh. Hindi naman po ito katulad nung pelikula ni Sylvester Stallone, yung Rocky, nung siya tinuruan ni Apollo Creed, all of a sudden, naging parang fluid boxer. Sa pelikula lang po yun. Pelikula lang po yun. Pero nakita natin parang sinubukan naman talaga ni Wilder na baguhin ang style niya. Pero mismo si Mike Tyson nagsasabi before this fight, at this stage in your career, mahirap magpalit ng estilo. Kaya nga in-encourage niya si Deontay Wilder, go for broke. Matira matibay, bahala na si Batman kung makakatama ka. So mahirap na, tama ka, pag ikay old dog na, ay mahirap kang mag-learn ng new tricks. So ginawa ni Tyson Fury, old dog na ang kalaban niya, simple lang ang tinuro niya, lie down and sleep. Ayun ang tinuro niya. Roll over and sleep. Ang tinuro niya kay Deontay Wilder, ano? So ito nakita natin. But he gave it his best, ano? He emptied his arsenal down to the last bullet. Ano? Pero sabi nga natin, had he really changed? If there were more jabs, if there were more distance, okay sana, pero napakahirap isang boksingerong sing lapad, sing bigat ni Tyson Fury.
Attorney Ed, where does Tyson Fury go from here? Do you think a fight against Anthony Joshua still makes sense for him despite Joshua's current predicament?
Well, nag-issue ng resolution ng WBC kamakailan, ano? At sinabi ng WBC kung sino mananalo dito, at ito nga si Tyson Fury, dalawa lang ang pwede niyang patunguhan. Number one is a unification fight with Alexander Usyk, ano? Or a fight against the WBC interim champion, si Dillian White, who is also scheduled to fight Otto Wallin this end of the month. Si Wallin, nakalaban na rin ni Tyson Fury. Ito lang ang options niya. Now, word is out that Top Rank is trying to convince Anthony Joshua to take a step-aside fee para matuloy yung Usyk versus Fury for the undisputed heavyweight titles. But the thing is, kung mag-step aside si Anthony Joshua, malaking step aside fee yan. Sapagkat ang laki ng kikitain niya kontra kay Usyk in a rematch. And he is invoking the contractual stipulation for a rematch. So itong dalawang pwedeng puntahan lamang ni Tyson Fury. Unification or fight against the interim WBC champion. So ito lang ang options niya. Maganda sana yung Anthony Joshua. Can you imagine all British war? Ano?
Yes.
And in fact, parang nga sa akin, mas maganda to kasi parang masyado dominated ni Usyk itong si Joshua. Parang wala akong makitang maganda sa rematch. Ano? Pero yun lang ang binigay ng WBC na options para kay Tyson Fury, considering that he retained his WBC title.
It's time for our Fearless Fighter of the Day, brought to you by Eastern Communications. And he's none other than Frank Sanchez from Cuba. He holds a perfect professional record of 19 wins with no losses and 13 wins by way of knockout. Sanchez fought on the undercard of Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder 3, beating Efe Ajagba by way of unanimous decision. Attorney Ed, do you see Sanchez as a threat in the heavyweight division?
Well, for the record, wala pa talagang Cubano na nagsasucceed sa heavyweight championship. Pero pinakita niya, he has the skills. Babalik na naman tayo dun sa Cuba Boxing Factory. Yung kanilang mastery of the rudiments. Yan ang pinakita ng The Cuban Flash na si Sanchez. By taking on the Nigerian power puncher, he employed movement. Nakita natin, kept moving to his right to avoid yung big right hand ni Efe. At jab right enough jabs to pile up the lead. Ano? Pero marami pa siyang kailangan patunayan. Number one, patunayan niya that he is not the blown-up version of Guillermo Regondo, na hindi siya boring. Ano? Yun ang kailangang patunayan niya. Pero the skills are there. Ano? The skills are there. Imagine if the guy, yung kalaban niya, talagang sumuntok, talsik ang kaluluwa mo. Pero ito, nakuha niyang paglaruan. So, very, very impressive showing. And we look forward to seeing the Cuban Flash in his next outing.
And that's our Eastern Communications Fearless Fighter of the Day. There's no denying that the United Kingdom has a very rich boxing history, and fans of boxing can even credit today's version of the sport to them. Their incredible fight culture has produced a handful of amazing fighters such as Lennox Lewis, Joe Calzaghe, Nassim Hamed, Ricky Hatton, Anthony Joshua, and now Tyson Fury. Attorney Ed, with the victory over the weekend, it begs the question, where does Tyson Fury rank now among the greatest in British boxing? This is going to be tough, Attorney Ed, because in heavyweight alone, it's still a tall order for Tyson Fury because you have Lennox Lewis, who has pretty much won against every heavyweight during his time, and Bob Fitzsimmons, who is boxing's first ever 3-division world champion and the lightest heavyweight champion in history, weighing 165 pounds when he won the title. Outside the heavyweight division, you have Joe Calzaghe, Kid Lewis, Nigel Benn, and Chris Eubank. Just to be clear, Chris Eubank Sr., hindi yung junior. In your book, Attorney Ed, where do you put Tyson Fury?
Well, right now, kapag pound for pound British fighters, usually, they talk about yung mga lighter weights. Yung mga mas mababa ang timbang. Kasi yung mas mababa ang timbang, skill-wise, mas maganda. Pero totoo lang, ibang klase rin as a heavyweight itong si Tyson Fury. Despite his size, he moves with the grace of a ballerina. Ibang klase. Pero in the making pa yung kanyang greatness. Kasi yung Joe Calzaghe, medyo mabigat yun. Alam natin yung ginawa ni Calzaghe. At pagdating sa heavyweight division, sa totoo lang, yung mga British heavyweights, medyo they're looked upon as a joke. Pagdating sa heavyweight, kasi I think there are only around 7 British heavyweight fighters who went on to become heavyweight champions. And right now, the barometer is Lennox Lewis. Siya ang considered the best British heavyweight champion. Although, tingin na marami, si Lewis, Briton by convenience. Hindi siya masyado, hindi siya masyado ini-embrace sa Inglaterra kasi comes from Jamaica, fought in the Olympics under the flag of Canada, parang British by convenience. Hindi katulad ditong si Tyson Fury na talagang kahit paghaluan mo ang balat at tinulupan, talagang British. Right now, he's on his way. He is on his way to getting it, to becoming one of the greatest fighters ng Inglaterra. Pero marami pa siyang pagdadaanan. Pero ibang klase Klitschko, Wilder, the guys he had fought, pero marami pang natitire. May Anthony Joshua pa, Alexander Usyk. So he's going there. Kaya lang sana ma-maintain niya yung kanyang physical and mental focus. Calzaghe right now is one of the best in my opinion.
Attorney Ed, what does Tyson Fury have to do to move up on your list?
Unify, become although recognized as lineal champion, beat up the rest of the competition. Right now, he has to be favored over Usyk. Ang laki. Ang laki niya I'd like to see Anthony Joshua. Labanan niya ito. Ang problema nga lamang, pag titinang mo yung composition ng heavyweight division yun, medyo salat sa competition, Parang kumbaga para siyang ali na naghahanap ng pressure, foreman. Ito medyo iilan lang pero ituloy lang niya. Become the undisputed champion again, solidify yung kanyang lineal claim. And let's see, kasi diyan naman ang road to greatness by beating everybody who stands in your path. That is how you achieve greatness. And he's on the right track in my opinion. Just beat the rest of the competition.
Attorney Ed, Tyson Fury is now 33 years old. Do you think he still has time to carry and run the ball for the British boxing scene?
Pwede pa, kasi kapag heavyweight po mga kaibigan, kahit medyo may edad ka na, pwede pang i-stretch ang career kasi ang mga heavyweight boxers po, mababagal. Hindi katulad ng mga welterweights below, kapag ganyang edad, medyo kwidaw ka na, matanda na yan. Pero sa heavyweights, pwede pa. And sana lang, he keeps an active fight schedule. Huwag mangyari yung nangyari kay Klitschko, nagkaroon siya ng mental breakdown, nawala, akala nga natin magre-retire na, then all of a sudden he came back. Sana more consistency on the fights. And I think that's what he likes to do. Mukhang nasa passion pa rin niya yung pro boxing.
For our next segment, we now turn it over to our colleague, Bill Velasco.
Salamat, Nisi. At ngayon pag-uusapan naman natin ang isang madalas nating marinig sa boxing at pati sa ibang sport, pero hindi ganap na naipapaliwanag pa sa madla. At yun ang mga concussion kung tawagin. Madalas makarinig natin yan na pag tinamaan ka sa ulo, naalog yung utak mo. Yan ang expression dito sa Pilipinas. But actually, a concussion is a shock to the brain. Noong mga panahong 1920s hanggang mga 1950s, meron silang expression na punch drunk, para kang hilo o parang hindi mo makuha yung wastong tindig mo dahil sa dami ng tama sa iyo sa ulo. There was another expression called slug nutty. In other words, nasira ang ulo mo dahil sa dami ng suntok ng tanggap mo. At ang totoo po niyan, isipin natin na ang ating utak ay parang gelatin o parang taho na nasa loob ng isang garapon. Pag inalog nyo ng inalog yan, natural, hihiwa-hiwala yan. Madudurog-durog siya. At hindi niya na maibabalik sa dati yun. Now, that is one of the basic principles of any impact to the brain. Yung concussion, madalas dati yan sa American football dahil nagkakapuntugan, nagkakabanggaan ng ulo, lalong na kahit naka-helmet. Tapos medyo may hilo o kaya hindi na alam kung nasan sila. They're momentarily unaware of their surroundings or even have short-term memory loss. Ngayon, ang concussion, the technical definition is it's a trauma to the brain that is caused usually by impact to the head. At noong una, ang pinag-aaralan po nila ay mga football players sa Amerika dahil nga madalas nagkakabanggaan, at napakalaking tao nitong mga to. Pero sa katotohanan yan, nabaling din ang pansin na yan sa boxing dahil nga sa dami naman na natatanggap na tama sa ulo ng mga boksingero. Sa katunayan, may research na nagsasabing bawat dekada, hindi bababa sa 20 boksingero ang namamatay. At madalas dahil sa mga tinatawag nating brain injuries. Pero noong 1920s, mahigit 200 boksingero ang namatay dahil sa sari-saring brain injury. At maraming tayong sikat na boksingerong nawala ng buhay dahil dyan. Unang-una si Dencio Cabanela, magkakasama ho yan, magkakakampihan. Si Dencio Cabanela, si Pancho Villa at si Clever Sencio. Pancho Villa, of course, was the first ever Asian World Boxing Champion at kinalaban niya si Clever Sencio sa kauna-unahang world title fight na sangkot ang dalawang Pilipino. Bakit ho sila namatay na maaga? Dahil nung panahon po na yun, wala pong regulasyon ng boxing, they would fight more than 20 times in 1 year. In fact, the year before he became world champion, Pancho Villa fought 28 times. Sipin niyo po yun, at least twice a month nakikipagbasagan ng muka ang isang boksingero. Kaya 23 anyos pa lang si Pancho Villa, namatay na siya. Ngayon, anong siyensya sa likod nito? Ang concussion, ano pa lang po yan? Mild form of brain trauma pa lang po yan. Ang pinaka malala ay ang tinatawag na CTE o Chronic Traumatic Encephalopathy. Ang CTE po ay nadiskubre ng isang African scientist na si Dr. Bennett Umalu sa Pittsburgh na ang capital po ng American football. And ang problema po dyan ay hindi po siya makikita kung hindi mo siya hinahanap. Kaya madalas natatagpuan lang yan sa mga bangkay na. Hinihiwa po nila ng manipis na manipis sa mga utak at nakikita nila na meron maliliit na dugoang parte ng utak. This is partly because of, again, the brain rattling around inside your skull. Yung bungo po niya natin parang bato, pero yung utak po natin napakalambot po at napakasela na bagay yan. And imagine if you're in a boxing ring, you're getting hit by a professional boxer hundreds of times in one fight. So there's bound to be trauma. Actually, any impact to the head can cause trauma to the brain. No, yan po ang masaklap po dyan. Ang chronic traumatic encephalopathy, ito po yung doktor po na nakadiscover nito, siya po ay, yung buhay po niya, ginawang pelikula, no? Pinagbibidahan ni Will Smith, yung Concussion, noong 2015. And it shows how people were reluctant to accept his findings. Dahil hindi pwede yan, mga tunay na lalaki kami, hindi kami dapat nasasaktan. But the brain injuries manifested themselves with a lot of these patients. Meron pong isa, nasira ang ulo niya, binubunot yung ngipin niya ng plies. O, tapos binabalik niya ng rugby at super glue. Meron pong mga ganong pagkakataon. Okay? CTE is normally associated with contact sports such as boxing or American football. Dahil madalas po tinatamaan sa ulo. Ano po ang mga sintomas ng CTE? Sa stage 1 po, yung sakit ng ulo, loss of attention, yung hindi po mapanatili yung pansin nila sa isang bagay, memory loss, may mga bagay silang nakakalimutan, aggression, yung parang bigla pong umiinit ang ulo, bigla pong napapaaway, nananakit po minsan na ibang tao. Stage 1 pa lang po yan. Stage 2, dadagdagan po natin yan ng mga mood swings, executive dysfunction. Ibig sabihin, ultimong yung paglalakad or pag-aabot sa isang bagay, hindi na po nila magawa. At kung minsan, meron pang suicidal thoughts o talagang pagnanasang magpakamatay. Stage 3, concentration issues. Hindi na po makafocus sa kahit anong bagay. Visual spatial difficulties, yung eye-hand coordination, paglalakad, hindi na po kayang gawin. Apathy, yung parang wala na silang pakialam. At cognitive impairment. Pag sinabi po cognitive impairment, yung pagkakilala sa mga bagay-bagay ay hindi na po nagagawa ng utak nila dahil sa sobrang pinsala na nadulot na dito. Sa stage 4, yan na po yung hindi na kayang maglakad, yan na po yung paranoia, depression, parang iniisip nila lahat ng tao, kaaway nila, at kung minsan nananakit na po sila ng ibang tao, kasama pa dyan, hindi sila makapagsalita na maayos at lagi silang galit. So yun po ang mga stages. Isa pong nagiging sanhi ng CTE, pag sinusuntok po ang isang boksingero, pumipihit po yung kanyang ulo. Isipin nyo kung meron kayong hawak na sponge, yung pinalilinis natin ng pinggan sa bahay, pinipitin nyo po ng pinipitin nyo at mapupunit siya. O, lalabas lahat ng fluid na laman niya at mapupunit siya na wala siyang kalaban-laban. Yan po ang madalas mangyari, yung tinatawag na shearing, where the brain meets the spinal cord. No? At pag yan po ay nalagot, paralisado na po ang isang tao. Kaya isipin nyo na lang na ilang daang beses, ilang libong beses sa kanilang career, napipinsala yon sa kakasuntok, kakapihit ng ulo ng sapilitan, Yan po ang tinatawag nating mga nagdudulot ng CTE o chronic traumatic encephalopathy. Kaya talagang kailangan po lubos-lubos ang pag-iingat natin, lalong-lalo na pag nasa mga sport tayo katulad ng boxing o iba pang mga combat sports, because it only takes one major blow. Sa katunayan, meron pa nga pinagtatalunan na mas maganda ba ang may gloves o wala. Bakit? May mga nagsasabing, pag may gloves kasi, napoprotektahan mo yung muka, yung balat, yung laman. Pero mas pumapasok sa loob yung impact ng suntok. Yung mga naniniwala naman sa bare knuckle fighting, sabi nila, okay, kung mapuputukan ka, tatahiin yung mukha mo, puro kasugat sa mukha. Pero yung utak mo, hindi ganun na-allow. So yun ang isa pong pinagtatalunan na sa hanggang ngayon, hindi pa nila ma-resolve. At yan po ang ating crash course, pardon the pun, crash course natin sa concussion at CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy. Balik sa inyo, Nisi at Attorney Ed.
Thanks, Bill. And that's the final bell for today's episode of Round by Round, presented by Eastern Communications. I'm Nisi Casiano.
I'm Attorney Ed Tolentino, and at least yung mga fight fans dyan, you had a hell of a heavyweight title fight. Sana more to come.
We're on Facebook at 9 p.m. Monday to Friday and on our YouTube channel right after. So like, follow, share, and subscribe now. Boy at Season, Ryan Songalia, and Bill Velasco are working the fights for you tomorrow. So catch them on the next Round by Round. All boxing, all Filipino, all the time. See you tomorrow.